Hi, this is 100 and 100, where we are reviewing 100 VR games in 100 days. Today, we are looking at Robo Recall.
Robo Recall!
Robo Recall! Robo Recall is one of the very best VR games, and it's been around for a good number of years. This is an exclusive to the Oculus platform. It's made by Epic Games, and we love Robo Recall, and we love shooting, ripping apart, and throwing robots across these awesome, engaging levels. In our VR Gear game reviews, we cover as many aspects of the game as possible so that you can make an informed decision before you try or buy one of these VR titles. Robo Recall is one of the best games on VR, and it is made by one of the best game studios out there. We're excited to jump into the game review with you, starting with getting up and running with Robo Recall. Robo Recall is an Oculus exclusive made by Epic Games, and this one is going to cost you $29.99. The download file is about 10 gigabytes, and once the game is installed, it can take up even more space. So clear off some space on your hard drive and get this game installed. Once the installation is complete, jumping into the game is a lot of fun. It starts you out standing in front of a window display outside of a store, looking at a television report about rogue robots who have disobeyed their protocol and are attacking people. Your job is to recall these robots by any means necessary to save yourself and the city. Robo Recall is a first-person shooter with a futuristic twist, but not too far into the future. You are surrounded by a city filled with robots. Some of them are very aggressive, some of them crawl on the ground, some of them fly through the air, and some of them are on 2 feet, just like you, coming at you with various weapons built in or in hand. Your job is to disassemble them, tear them apart, throw them into a teleporter, or just shoot them with the variety of guns that you have access to throughout the level. There is one point where you can grab one of the robots and use it as a giant cannon because the robot is equipped with a giant cannon. The game has a lot of different gameplay styles that you can use. We ironically like to tear the robots apart and throw their limbs at other oncoming robots, and the game responds beautifully for this type of gameplay. We also use the weapons that were provided to us, but again, the tearing robots apart was just too fun to stop, so we just saw how well we could do in the level without using a single bullet. This game is a lot of fun, and the environment was really fun to play in. You'll play this game from the first-person perspective. You won't see much more than your hands and the guns that you're holding in the game. But the game is incredibly immersive, and playing this one from the first-person perspective is perfectly appropriate. As you're teleporting around the level and rotating around in place, you are going to really feel the heat as robots are coming from all directions. For theme and story, there is a storyline that unfolds as you progress through the levels. You are an agent that works for a robotics company that is responsible for recalling rogue robots. This storyline unfolds as you move through the game, and the theme is very strong. In between levels, you find yourself in your own lair of sorts where you get additional instruction on what you're supposed to do next, and you're also given additional weapons that you can practice using while you prepare for the next level. Once you jump in, you'll really start to get involved with the storyline and play your role as a Robo Recaller. The controls in this game are very important to master, and the developers did a great job of making the controls natural, easy to learn, and easy to master. You're able to fire your weapon by pulling the trigger, you're able to pick up your weapon by pulling the grips, and you're able to teleport by using the joystick. Teleportation is done by leaning the joystick in the direction you like to go, and because this game is only available on Oculus, you don't have to worry about poor controller mappings for the Vive or the Index or the Cosmos. You have the Oculus controls. The game was designed for the Oculus touch controllers, and that's what you use while playing the game. It's mapped really well. It also works for the Rift and the Rift S. Those have different controllers, but the game is great and it's mapped very well to those controllers. For music and sound, this game is really fun. You do hear the voice of an instructor, which seems like a robotic instructor, in your ears. You also hear oncoming robots that are saying all sorts of nonsense. You hear spider robots approaching, making weird spidery robot sounds. But each one of these elements in the game has a unique sound, a unique noise that it makes as you are trying to pay attention to your surroundings and hear something that's oncoming. The music that's playing in the background is mapped very well to the amount of time that you've been in each level, and it can increase in intensity as you reach the end. The music and the sound of this game helped a great amount to make it even more immersive. They add a lot of great things in the environment to help you feel like there is really a problem with these rogue robots and they need to be recalled, and so it added a lot to the immersion. For player movement, this game is very similar to other games that do teleportation, but this one also incorporates teleport and rotate. So to do that, you lean your joystick forward, and to pick the direction you would like to land, you then lean your joystick to the right or to the left, or even backwards. Once your joystick is engaged, you can aim with your arm, lean the joystick, and pick the direction that you land. This type of player movement is common, and it may be familiar to people that are experienced in VR, but for some people it may cause some degree of motion sickness. You are able to crouch down and spin around in circles in your play area, but this game incorporates teleportation, which means you can play it while sitting in a stool. We sit on a swivel stool for games like this one so that we don't get lost in our real world play area. You'll have to decide what's best for you. You might want to play this one standing, but there is a chance that you'll bump into a wall or get tangled in your cables if that is how you're playing. Fortunately, the Oculus Quest also supports this game, and you don't have to worry about cables. You are in your play area and you don't get tangled up. You can reach all the way to the end, which may be a problem because you aren't being pulled on by your cable system. So we play this one in a swivel stool. We recommend that, but you don't have to. It's a standing or sitting game, and the virtual world will track to your movement in the real world. For motion sickness, this game has a high likelihood of making you motion sick if you're sensitive to it. If you're new to VR, this game is going to be intense. We played this game early on when we were newer to VR, and it didn't make us motion sick until we took the headset off, and we didn't know what it was. But this game is a very intense game. The player movement is very intense. The teleport and rotation landing is probably what caused the motion sickness. But there's a lot going on in the game. You're trying to move as fast as possible and fight things that are coming at you from different directions. So the motion sickness that you'll experience has a lot to do with how new you are to VR and how sensitive you are to VR. As a result, motion sickness is something you should be concerned about when playing Robo Recall. For environment and immersion, this game is incredibly immersive, and the environment was very well done. Epic Games is known for their expansive worlds. They are the creators of Fortnite, and they can make gameplay so incredibly fun. The gameplay, the audio, the environment that was designed by Epic Games was incredibly well done, and so environment and immersion was one of the highlights of this game. Now, moving through the level, that can cause some motion sickness, as I mentioned, but being in the game is really fun. A lot of things you can interact with. When you teleport, you can land on top of a bus, or on top of a car, or move up on top of a building to get closer to the robots you're trying to attack, and this allows for a really fun, immersive game. So hats off to Epic Games for making one of the most immersive and intense games that we've played in VR. All right, so let's look at the scorecard for Robo Recall, starting with theme and story. We're giving this game an 8 out of 10 for theme and story. The Robo Recall story gets you right into the middle of the action, right when you turn the game on for the first time. It is scary at times, intense all the time, and there is a lot of fun to be had while interacting with the different weapons and the different ways to recall robots. So an 8 out of 10 for theme and story. For controls, we're giving this game a 9 out of 10. You can do just about anything with the grips, with the triggers, and with your joystick to move about the level, tear apart robots, and shoot them when they're off in the distance. Great job with the controls, a 9 out of 10 for controls. For music and sound, we're giving this game an 8 out of 10. There was some great music that was playing in the background while you were playing the game, and you could hear the robots as they were approaching. Some of the things that robots would say while they're coming towards you were somewhat repetitive, and so there's some room for improvement there to add a little bit more customization and personality to the robots. We know they're AI, but they can still have personality of sorts. So an 8 out of 10 still is a great score for music and sound. For player movement, we're giving this game a 9 out of 10. You can go just about anywhere in the level. The teleportation implemented the teleport plus rotate, which is a great way to get from one place to the other. It can be disorienting at times, but it enables you to do all the movement that you need to do to succeed in the game. You're also able to rotate in place in the real world, and it maps perfectly into the virtual world. You can also move inside of your play area to get a better view of an oncoming robot in the virtual world. So it's not just teleportation, but it's teleportation plus rotation plus real world mapping of your movements and your own rotation in place. So 9 out of 10 for player movement. For motion sickness, we're giving this game a 6 out of 10. There is a lot of movement going on in this game, and the action requires you to move a lot. If you're sensitive to motion sickness or you're new to VR, be prepared to be a little sick in this one. But it is a fun game, and it may be well worth it for you to get sick a little bit and play this really awesome game. So a 6 out of 10 for motion sickness. And finally, for environment and immersion, this game is getting a perfect score of a 10 out of 10. You are moving through a vast world, and the game developers didn't take any shortcuts in making sure that each one of the unique robots, each one of the unique sounds they make, and each one of the unique scenes that you're playing in was convincing and playable. This game is a lot of fun, engaging, and we have gone back to this one several times because it is just so much fun. And the gameplay model is so engaging. So a perfect score of a 10 out of 10 for environment and immersion. And now for the final overall score for Robo Recall, we're giving this game an 8.3 out of 10. We loved playing this game, and we're a little bummed that it's an exclusive to Oculus, but that's the reality. You can find this one in the Oculus store, and it works on the Rift, Rift S, and the Quest. This has been 100 in 100, where we are reviewing 100 VR games in 100 days. Make sure you hit the subscribe button and click the notification bell so that you can be notified tomorrow when we release another VR game review. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one.